WTVH 5, Syracuse. Live from the NewsCenter, Tracy Davidson and Keith Copeland, Ryan McGorman with sports, and Kathy Orr with tomorrow's 5cast. This is NewsCenter 5 at 11.
You can breathe.
The only alert that we had was the smoke coming in.
People struggled to escape the World Trade Center after an explosion. Good evening. A routine day in New York City was interrupted a little after noon.
First, an explosion, a ceiling collapse, a fire, people trapped, and the source, a bomb. Russ Mitchell has the latest now from New York.
This is what's left of the underground parking garage where authorities now say a massive car bomb exploded. It ripped a 40-foot crater through 4 floors of the garage. Bill Zemrecki was eating his lunch on the lower level when the bomb detonated.
All of a sudden, boom, I blacked out. I felt like I was like in shock. And then I don't know, I started float. I know it sounds a little weird, but I seen myself laying on the floor. It was really weird. I thought, but then I came to, and it was chaos.
Investigators searched for clues in the twisted metal. Some police sources say a group claiming to represent Croatian militants called just before the bombing to claim responsibility. In an interview with CBS News, FBI Director William Sessions was playing it strictly by the book.
We prepare for these events to investigate them fully and carefully, and therefore speculation has no place in it until you actually, no place in it at all. You must go on the basis of what you're able to find from the evidence of the scene.
This was a noontime nightmare for the nearly 100,000 workers who do business here. Smoke filled the corridors and hallways in the 110-story skyscraper. In a scramble down crowded stairwells, it was every man and woman for themselves.
It's another smoke. You can breathe. You can breathe.
We didn't think we were going to get out. We didn't think we were going to get out at all. I figured they'd just come and find 150 dead bodies up here.
There was no evacuation procedure. It was chaos because you didn't know whether the fire was below you or above you. You didn't know which way to go. Hey, Chief!
That's Russ Mitchell reporting from New York City. Now, Central New Yorker Chris Pajali was inside the World Trade Building on the ground floor just a few feet from where a ceiling collapsed. Pajali was in New York City to visit his uncle who worked on the building's 55th floor. He was waiting for an elevator when the bomb exploded.
There was this huge boom, and I dropped to the floor, and I rolled over, and the ceiling, like 10, 15 feet away, caved in. This window burst, and glass bits went all over.
What was going through your mind?
Well, it's funny because there's a movie filming this weekend in New York, and I had just been down in Times Square where they're filming, I think it's the new Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, and the first thing in my mind was, I thought they were filming this. I thought this was a movie. It was just so weird. This whole ceiling caved in, and there were people screaming, and then I got up, and the whole place filled with smoke, and I got out of there.
Pajali considers himself lucky he received only slight cuts on his leg.
The Syracuse office of Dean Winter Reynolds kept close watch on the situation in New York. The headquarters of the investment firm are located in the World Trade Center. Almost immediately after the explosion and throughout the afternoon, the Syracuse office was able to keep in contact with the people in New York using an internal squawk box,
which of course is plugged right into headquarters and to the trading floors. We have about 6 different aspects of where they can plug in off of that. And the reality is that they are cutting in constantly and updating us, as well as we have our telephone lines, as well as the computers which are feeding us constant updates of information.
There was relief when they heard none of their fellow workers was injured. And while many employees were evacuated, business continued.
What we've been able to do is transfer to a backup system all of our trading functions. And so with the extent of a very small, minor, original delay in the actual trading, we were able to pass those trading functions on and market functions on to our backup systems.
And from that point, it was business as usual till the stock market closed at 4. In other news, a win for the town of Van Buren and a setback for the county's solid waste problem. A judge's decision has temporarily delayed plans to build a landfill on Site 31 in the town. Van Buren officials had filed a petition in state Supreme Court requesting more information be known before the county proceeds with the construction process. Today, a judge agreed with that request. The people building the landfill insist the questions raised by the opponents of the landfill will be answered.
In Madison County, a farmer who suffered through a mysterious loss now has another crisis. The farm's 2 ponds to contain cow manure broke loose this week, spilling thousands of gallons of liquid manure into a tiny creek. Already several dozen fish are dead, and the state says the stream has been damaged.
The impact is severe on that creek at this point. It's a little tough to evaluate because there's icing, given our winter weather. There's some icing, so it's difficult to assess how many dead fish, for example, we have.
The farm in question belongs to farmer Mike Bargabos. You may recall someone secretly poisoned 140 of his dairy cows 2 months ago. Now, just as the farm was rebounding from that crisis, it faces another. The state could fine Bargabos thousands of dollars for that pollution.
A 72-year-old Herkimer County man was found dead today, and his son is charged with murder. Police say Clarence C. Broadbent of Ilion was killed by a blow to the head with an axe on Wednesday evening. His body was found outside his garage around 9:30 this morning. The victim's son, 22-year-old Timothy Broadbent, was arrested today and charged with second-degree murder. Broadbent entered a plea of not guilty and is being held at the Herkimer County Jail.
Another murder case, this one nearly 20 years old, involving the shooting death of a state trooper, was back in Madison County Court. One of the men charged with killing Trooper Emerson Dillon following a jewelry heist in DeWitt was in court. He was requesting freedom because he has heart trouble and cancer and does not want to die in prison. However, a Madison County court judge denied 66-year-old Robert Donovan's request. Donovan's partner was charged with pulling the trigger. A 75-year-old Central New York woman is getting rabies shots after being attacked outside her home.
However, Iva Anderson of Seneca Falls considers herself lucky because of some library books. Scott Atkinson has the story.
This evening, Iva Anderson is recovering from the fright of her life, an attack by a rabid raccoon. It happened Wednesday as Iva and her husband left their apartment.
I went out ahead of my husband and was out almost to the car when this thing just jumped out and grabbed right onto my right leg. It had its mouth wide open, but it was kind of looking towards Roy instead of me. And it was spitting or hissing and growling at us.
Iva's husband, Roy, didn't have a stick or a club. He had only the library books in his hand.
It's the only thing I had in my hand. I banged away at him for quite a while, and then he left Iva and took off.
The rabid raccoon eventually took off into these woods and then onto a neighboring street where police gave chase. Officer Fred Malini came face to face with the creature.
A raccoon got within about 5 feet of me, at which point I pulled my service weapon and fired, hitting the raccoon. Went down, however, it got back up and continued after me. At that point, I fired several more times and destroying the animal.
What are you thinking when this raccoon's getting up again?
He's not happy.
For months, health officials have warned of a raccoon rabies outbreak in central New York. What happened in this case is exactly what they wanted to avoid.
Stay away from any animals, and particularly wild animals, because they will come to you. That's the main thing that you want to remember.
Well, I was scared to death. Don't want to go through that again.
As rabies goes, this qualifies as a near miss. And with rabies, a near miss is too close. Scott Atkinson, NewsCenter 5.
Much more ahead when NewsCenter 5 continues, including details on why you should be on the lookout for a swan who's on the lam.
Also coming up on NewsCenter 5, a group that's right on the money, performing for Friday afternoon fans in downtown Syracuse.
The preliminary reports of February are in, and we're looking at some pretty good numbers in the sunshine department. We'll provide you with the details when NewsCenter 5 returns.